The Ajaokuta Steel Plant is a massive industrial complex located in Kogi State, Nigeria. It was conceived in the 1970s as a flagship project to boost Nigeria's industrial development and economic diversification away from oil. The plant was designed to produce 2.6 million tons of steel per year, create 500,000 jobs, and serve as a platform for Nigeria's metallurgical and engineering sectors. However, more than 4 decades after its inception, the plant has not produced any steel, iron, or metals, and has become a symbol of corruption, mismanagement, and waste of public resources. The construction of the plant began in 1979 with a contract awarded to Tiaj Promexport, a Soviet company, for $1 billion. The project was financed by loans from the World Bank and other international creditors. The original completion date was set for 1980, but it was repeatedly delayed due to technical difficulties, cost overruns, political interference, and bureaucratic inefficiencies. By 1985, the cost of the project had risen to $12.7 billion, and it was still far from completion. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 further complicated the situation, as the Russian contractors withdrew from the project and left behind unfinished work and obsolete equipment. Nigeria was left with a huge debt burden and a dysfunctional steel plant that required massive investment to revive. Several attempts were made by successive governments to resuscitate the plant, but none succeeded. One of the major challenges facing the plant was the lack of raw materials, especially iron ore, which is essential for steel production. The plant was sited in an area that had no iron ore deposits and relied on importing iron ore from the National Iron Ore Mining Company, NIOMCO, in Itakpe, Kogi State. However, NIOMCO was also plagued by problems of underdevelopment, mismanagement, and corruption, and could not supply enough iron ore to meet the demand of the plant. Another challenge was the lack of adequate infrastructure, especially power supply, transportation, and water. The plant required about 110 megawatts of electricity to operate, but Nigeria's national grid could not provide enough power for its needs. The plant also lacked access to rail and road networks that could facilitate the movement of raw materials and finished products. Moreover, the plant needed about 110 million liters of water per day for cooling and other purposes, but there was no reliable source of water nearby. In addition to these technical and logistical issues, the plant also suffered from political interference, legal disputes, and misappropriation of funds by various actors involved in its management and operation. For instance, in 2004, during the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo, the federal government entered into an agreement with Global Steel Holdings Limited, GSHL, an Indian company based in Dubai, to privatize and concession some of Nigeria's steel assets, including Ajaokuta Steel Plant and NIOMCO. The agreement was controversial and widely criticized by stakeholders, who accused GSHL of asset stripping, breach of contract, and failure to invest in the development of the steel sector. In 2008, the federal government revoked the agreement and took back control of Ajaokuta Steel Plant and NIOMCO. This led to a legal battle between Nigeria and GSHL at the International Court of Arbitration in Paris. In 2016, during the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, who had made the revival of Ajaokuta Steel Plant a top priority, the federal government reached a modified concession agreement with GSHL, which allowed GSHL to retain NIOMCO while Nigeria regained full ownership of Ajaokuta Steel Plant. However, this agreement also faced opposition from some quarters, who argued that it was not in Nigeria's best interest. In 2021, after years of arbitration proceedings, Nigeria agreed to pay GSHL $496 million as settlement over its claims on Ajaokuta Steel Plant and other steel assets. This amount represented a 91% reduction from GSHL's original claim of $5.258 billion. The Attorney General of Nigeria, Abubakar Malami, described this settlement as a rescue for Nigeria's steel industry from complex disputes. However, some analysts have questioned whether this settlement was fair and transparent, given the lack of public disclosure and accountability on the terms and conditions of the deal. They have also raised concerns about the future of Ajaokuta Steel Plant, which remains dormant and dilapidated, despite the huge amount of public funds that have been spent on it over the years. The Ajaokuta Steel Plant is a case study of how corruption, mismanagement, and waste of public resources can undermine a nation's development aspirations and economic potential. The plant, which was meant to be a catalyst for Nigeria's industrialization and diversification, has become a monument of failure and frustration. The plant, which was meant to create jobs and wealth for Nigerians, has become a source of debt and loss for the country. The plant, which was meant to showcase Nigeria's technological and engineering prowess, has become a reminder of its dependence and underdevelopment. The Ajaokuta Steel Plant is a lesson for Nigeria and other developing countries on the need to ensure good governance, transparency, and accountability in the management and execution of public projects, especially those that involve large-scale investments, foreign partnerships, and strategic sectors. The plant is also a challenge for Nigeria and other stakeholders to find a lasting solution to its problems and realize its potential as a key driver of Nigeria's economic growth and development.